Chosen one, what if I told you that heaven has already ruled in your favor, and now the world is catching up? They mocked you, mimicked you, even tried to erase you, but your peace did what no argument could. It shook their kingdom of lies. You felt it building, something unseen yet undeniable, the subtle turning of the tide. Your silence wasn't a retreat, it was a declaration. You knew the truth didn't need defending because truth reveals itself in time. And now that time is here. Everything they tried to bury is rising, and the hidden schemes are unraveling before their eyes. This is not just another season, it's a divine reckoning. Stay until the end of this video as we uncover why your presence alone is their undoing. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. The tables have turned. It's your time, and they can feel it. Your presence is their reckoning. They can't stop thinking about you. Every step you take, every move you make, it's as though you're walking into their minds, disrupting their carefully constructed narratives. They tried to write you off, to act as if you didn't matter. They thought ignoring you would render you powerless, but the reality is quite the opposite. Even in silence, you've become a presence they can't escape. It's not your words that haunt them, it's your existence. They expected you to lash out, to engage in their games, to justify yourself. But you didn't. Instead, you let your actions speak for themselves. Your calm, your stillness, your quiet determination, it's more than they can handle. And now, they can't stop thinking about what they can't control. Their discomfort grows with each passing day. They may not say it out loud, but inside, they feel it. They feel the gap between what they claimed and what's real. They feel the weight of the truths they've denied. Your presence does something they never anticipated. It exposes. It shines a light on everything they tried to hide. They hoped to bury you under their lies, but instead, you became the reminder of their own dishonesty. Every time they see you move forward, every time you show up, every time you succeed, it's a reflection of the falsehoods they created. They can't outrun it, and the more they try to ignore it, the louder it becomes in their minds. It's not just that you didn't react, it's how you didn't react. You didn't play their game. You didn't stoop to their level. Instead, you maintained a grace, a poise that left them floundering. They were prepared for a fight, for a clash that would allow them to cast you as the villain. But your stillness, your refusal to engage on their terms, threw them off balance. Your presence became a mirror, one that revealed their insecurities, their pretenses, their failures. And the more they see that reflection, the more unsettled they become. It's not something you had to force, it's something that simply is. Your presence alone speaks volumes. This reckoning isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet. It's a slow, steady unveiling. It's the realization that the image they projected can't stand next to the truth of who you are. It's a reminder that authenticity will always outlast artifice. They thought they could diminish you, but they only diminished themselves. They thought they could silence you, but they only amplified their own flaws. Your presence is proof that truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to exist. And as long as you continue to walk your path, as long as you continue to be who you are, that truth will keep shining. It will keep reminding them of what they tried to erase. They thought their silence would weaken you. They thought their indifference would erase you. But the opposite happened. Their attempts to diminish you only made you stronger, more visible, more undeniable. Now, your presence is their reckoning. It's a constant reminder that they can't undo what's real. They can't reverse what's true. And no matter how much they wish they could, your existence continues to challenge everything they believed they had control over. This isn't revenge, it's revelation. Your presence is revealing the cracks in their facade, the weakness in their foundation, the emptiness in their efforts. And every time they encounter you, they're forced to confront it. The beauty of this reckoning is that it's not something you had to orchestrate. It's the natural consequence of walking in truth. It's the result of choosing grace over retaliation, strength over insecurity. It's the power of knowing who you are and refusing to let anyone else define you. They didn't expect this outcome because they didn't understand the power of authenticity. They thought their games, their lies, their posturing would protect them. But your presence shows that none of those things can stand against what is real. You didn't have to raise your voice to be heard. Your stillness, your composure, your very being did the work for you. Now, they're left to grapple with the reality they tried to deny. They're left to face the truths they tried to bury. Your presence has become their reckoning, not because you sought to punish them, but because you chose to be yourself. That choice, that quiet determination to stay true to who you are, has done what no argument, no confrontation, no defense could ever do. It has turned their own actions back on them. It has exposed what they hoped would remain hidden. And now they can't escape it. Your presence continues to shine, continues to grow, and they continue to see it, feel it, and reckon with it. And as they reckon with it, you continue forward. You don't need to look back or wonder about their reaction. You've already won by simply being you. Your presence is not just their reckoning. It's their reminder that truth always prevails, that authenticity always shines through, and that grace is more powerful than any attempt to diminish it. They can't stop thinking about you because you represent everything they wish they could be. You represent strength, resilience, and unwavering truth. And that's something they can never take away. You were sent as a divine disruption. From the beginning, you felt it, that sense of not quite fitting in, of moving through life on a path that others didn't seem to understand. While others followed the familiar script, you found yourself called in a different direction. They may have told you to stick to what works or to follow the system, but deep down, you knew that wasn't your purpose. You weren't made to conform. You weren't made to blend in. You've always been something more, a divine disruption. And while that may have felt isolating at times, it was never a mistake. You were placed here on this very path for a reason. Your journey was never about fitting into their mold. It was about breaking it entirely so that others could see what's truly possible. Yet that journey hasn't been without its challenges. There were moments when you doubted yourself, when you looked at the people around you and wondered why your path seemed so much harder, so much lonelier. You watched others follow the crowd and find acceptance, while you felt like an outsider. Maybe you even tried, for a time, to walk their path, to fit into their boxes, but it never worked. Every time you tried to blend in, it felt wrong, like you were betraying something sacred inside you. And then there were the people who didn't understand your choices, the ones who dismissed you, who questioned you, who tried to pull you back into the status quo. Their words might have stung. Their rejection might have left scars. But even in those moments of pain, you knew that something greater was guiding you. You knew you couldn't ignore the pull toward something different, something higher. It's no coincidence that this struggle has echoes in ancient stories. Think of Joseph, who was given dreams that set him apart, dreams that his own brothers resented. His path was far from easy, sold into slavery, thrown into prison, misunderstood at every turn. Yet through all of it, Joseph never lost sight of the truth that had been planted in him. His journey was a divine disruption, one that ultimately brought salvation not just to himself, but to entire nations. In a similar way, your path, though difficult, though filled with moments of doubt and rejection, is part of a much larger plan. You're not walking this road in vain. The discomfort, the challenges, the setbacks, they're all pieces of a greater story. And just like Joseph, you're being prepared for something that will resonate far beyond your own life. Now, the signs of that greater purpose are starting to emerge. You've begun to notice moments of synchronicity, opportunities that come out of nowhere, people who cross your path at just the right time. It's as if the universe itself is beginning to align with the truth you've been carrying all along. Doors that were once closed are starting to open. Paths that seemed hidden are coming into view. Even the struggles you've endured are beginning to make sense. You see now that those challenges weren't there to break you. They were there to shape you, to strengthen you, to prepare you for what's ahead. What once felt like chaos is now revealing itself as divine order. It's as if the puzzle pieces are finally falling into place, showing you the picture you always hoped was there. Behind the scenes, something even more powerful is happening. Higher forces are at work, clearing away the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. The people who tried to box you in, the circumstances that tried to hold you back, none of it was accidental. Each struggle was a setup for elevation. Every delay was a lesson in patience and faith. Now, as you continue forward, you're finding that the way is smoother, the guidance clearer. It's not because the path is easier, but because you've grown stronger. You're walking in alignment with a plan that's been in motion long before you realized it. What felt like a lonely road is now illuminated with divine light, guiding you step by step. In this moment, you're beginning to see yourself differently. You're no longer questioning whether you belong, whether you're enough, whether you're on the right path. Instead, you're embracing the truth that you were always meant to stand out, to break the mold, to disrupt the narrative. The doubts that once held you back are falling away, replaced by a quiet confidence. You're no longer afraid of the unknown, because you understand that the unknown is where growth happens. This isn't just a shift in perspective, it's a shift in your entire being. You're stepping into your power, fully and unapologetically, and it's a transformation that can't be undone. Now that you see it, what comes next? You take another step. You keep moving forward, even when the path isn't fully clear. You trust that each action, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to the fulfillment of your purpose. You release the need for approval, the need for validation, and instead embrace the truth that has always been within you. This is your moment to rise, to lead, to create. The path may not always be easy, but it's yours, and it's the path you were born to walk. So take that next step, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that every challenge you've faced has prepared you for this. Comment, "I'm ready," if this resonates with you. You are more than just a participant in your own story, you are a catalyst for change, a force for good, a divine disruption that can't be ignored. This is your time to stand out, to shine, to lead. You've known it all along. Now is the time to live it out. Their performance is crumbling. They created an image for themselves, one that seemed solid, well-crafted, even impressive at first glance. But over time, you began to notice the cracks. Their carefully curated performance, so polished on the surface, started to falter under the weight of truth. The mask they wore, the persona they presented, was never truly their own. It was a patchwork stitched together from fragments of others, including you. And now, the borrowed light they relied on is dimming. The applause is quieter, the admiration fading. The very foundation of their act is crumbling, not because you confronted them, but because the truth always reveals itself. You didn't need to fight or force anything. You only had to stand firm in your authenticity. As their performance unravels, what's left is the undeniable contrast between what is real and what is false. You've seen it happen before. Those who rise quickly, without roots, often tumble just as fast. They thought they could sustain an image built on imitation, that they could embody qualities they hadn't earned. But the thing about truth is that it has a way of making itself known. No matter how well they rehearsed, no matter how many followers they gained, the essence of their act couldn't hold. Behind closed doors, in quiet moments, the performance would slip. The cracks became fractures, and the fractures turned into collapses. It wasn't long before even those who once admired them started to notice. The strength they tried to project wasn't grounded. Their charm began to feel hollow. The more they tried to prop up the illusion, the more it fell apart. In Proverbs 19 verse 5, it says, "A false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free." This passage reminds us that truth is always victorious. While lies may thrive for a time, their foundation is sand. They thought their performance could withstand scrutiny, that their carefully constructed persona would shield them indefinitely. But the false witness within them, the borrowed persona, the unearned image, was destined to fail. And now, as it does, the truth stands taller. Their downfall isn't caused by anything external. It's the inevitable result of a life not built on authenticity. Scripture shows us time and again that what is hidden will be revealed, what is counterfeit will be exposed, and what is true will remain. The shifts are happening visibly now. Those who once applauded their every move are stepping back, questioning what they see. Opportunities that seemed abundant are drying up. Their name, once synonymous with admiration, is now whispered in doubt. You can almost see the moment when the mask slips, when their forced smile falters, when the energy behind their words feels more like desperation than conviction. It's as if the spotlight they craved is now too bright, revealing everything they hoped would stay hidden. What's happening is not a coincidence, it's a divine alignment. The false cannot remain where the truth is rising. And right now, truth is rising all around them. Yet even as this collapse unfolds, it's clear that something greater is at work. Higher forces are ensuring that justice is not just poetic, but spiritual. The timing, the circumstances, even the people who have stepped forward to question what's real, all of it points to divine intervention. You may not have sought out this reckoning, but it was always meant to happen. Every moment of doubt you faced, every instance where you questioned whether you should have done more to defend yourself, was part of a larger plan. In your stillness, divine forces were working. They were aligning the moments, orchestrating the revelations, ensuring that when the time came, the truth would stand on its own. And now it's clear, their performance didn't crumble because you tried to destroy it. It crumbled because it was never built to last. As their facade breaks down, you can feel the shift within yourself. It's not about revenge or satisfaction, it's about clarity. You see now that your refusal to participate in their games wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. Your choice to stay true to yourself, to not engage in their performance, was exactly what was needed. You're beginning to realize that this was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving yourself right. As their act fades, your truth remains steady, shining brighter than ever. And this moment of clarity is empowering. It's the moment when you truly understand that what's authentic will always outlast what's fake. It's not just their performance that's crumbling. It's the doubt you once carried. You are seeing yourself clearly now, free from their projections, their judgments, their false narratives. Now you can take the next step with confidence. You can continue to move forward, knowing that you don't have to justify who you are or explain your path. You can leave behind the weight of their performance, the distractions they caused, and focus fully on your own journey. This collapse is their lesson to learn, not yours to bear. You've done the work of staying true, of remaining authentic. Now it's time to trust in that foundation. What comes next isn't about looking back at their downfall, it's about looking forward to your growth. Keep walking, keep building, and keep trusting that truth will always prevail. Comment, "I walk in truth," if this resonates with you. Their performance was never your burden. It was a temporary illusion. What remains is what's real, and you are what's real. As their act fades into obscurity, your authenticity shines even brighter. And as you move forward, remember this: no one can take from you what's truly yours. No performance can outlast the truth, and the truth is yours to carry. Silence as spiritual warfare. They underestimated you. They thought that silence meant surrender, that your refusal to engage was a sign of weakness. But you know the truth. Silence is not the absence of power. It's the presence of a strength so profound that it doesn't need to be shouted to be felt. They expected an argument, a confrontation, something loud and visible that they could manipulate, deflect, or overpower. Instead, they were met with stillness. A stillness that didn't retreat, didn't crumble, didn't disappear. Your silence was never emptiness. It was intention, and that intention changed everything. The world around you has often taught that the louder voice wins, that the one who shouts the most commands the room. But you saw through that illusion. You understood that silence carries a different kind of weight, one that can't be measured by decibels but by presence. It's not that you didn't have things to say, oh, you did. But you knew that speaking on their terms would only pull you into their chaos. They wanted a reaction. They wanted to control the narrative. So instead, you held your peace. You chose not to play by their rules, and in doing so, you shifted the battlefield entirely. You took the ground they thought was theirs, and you did it without raising your voice. Your silence became their discomfort. Your stillness became their unease. In a world that thrives on noise, your quietness became the loudest sound in the room. This concept of silence as power is not new. In the Bible, we see moments where stillness changes the course of history. In Exodus 14 verse 14, Moses tells the Israelites, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." Imagine the tension they must have felt, surrounded by the enemy, their escape route blocked by the sea. Yet the instruction was not to fight, not to panic, not to plead, it was to be still. And in that stillness, the waters parted, and a way was made. Your journey has been no different. While others shouted and fought for attention, you stood still, trusting that the battle wasn't yours to win through noise. It was yours to win through trust, through patience, through a calm that confounded those who expected chaos. Your silence became a spiritual strategy, a weapon they couldn't anticipate. And then the shifts began. You started to notice it in the way they spoke about you, or stopped speaking altogether. Their once confident tone became uncertain. Their plans, so carefully laid out, started to unravel. It wasn't anything you did directly, it was what you didn't do. By staying still, by refusing to engage in their drama, you allowed their own words, their own actions, to turn back on them. Your silence became a mirror, reflecting their true intentions, their insecurities, their weaknesses. They couldn't understand it. They couldn't figure out why they felt off balance, why their strategies no longer worked. But you knew. You knew that when truth stands firm, it doesn't have to shout. It simply waits, and in the waiting, it reveals everything that was hidden. This didn't happen by chance. There were forces at work, unseen but undeniable. The higher powers that you trusted were moving pieces behind the scenes. What you once saw as a delay was actually preparation. The silence you kept was not just your own. It was supported, upheld by something far greater than yourself. You were not alone in holding your peace. You were not alone in the quiet strength you carried. Heaven heard every unspoken word, every thought, every prayer. And that divine support turned your silence into spiritual warfare. It wasn't passive, it was deliberate. It wasn't weak, it was a strength they could never match. While they fought in the physical, you moved in the spiritual. And that's why their plans faltered. At a certain point, something shifted inside you. You realized that your silence was no longer a choice. It was part of who you had become. You didn't need to explain yourself anymore. You didn't need to defend your path. You could see now that their chaos didn't belong to you. Their attempts to provoke, to pull you into a battle, to draw you away from your purpose, all of it was falling away. You were no longer tempted to react, because you understood what was at stake. To give in to their noise would be to give up your power. And you were done with that. You were stepping into your own alignment, into a peace that couldn't be shaken. You saw their chaos for what it was, and you refused to let it touch you. That was the moment you fully owned your power. Now you are free to move forward, unburdened. The silence that once felt like a test now feels like a triumph. The noise that once threatened to drown you out now fades into the background. Your stillness, your peace, your refusal to be pulled into their games, that is your strength. It's the kind of strength that doesn't just endure, it transforms. You've learned that you don't need to fight on their terms. You don't need to win in their arena. You've already won by standing firm in who you are. And now you can move forward without fear, without hesitation, knowing that your silence has already spoken louder than any words could. Comment, "I choose peace," if this resonates with you. This is your reminder that silence is not surrender. It is strength. It is strategy. It is spiritual warfare. And it is your power. Keep walking in it. Imitation failed because spirit can't be cloned. They tried to copy you. They observed how you spoke, how you carried yourself, how you seemed to move through life with a quiet confidence they couldn't quite understand. At first, it seemed flattering. Maybe you even felt a brief moment of validation. Someone was paying attention, noticing what you were doing. But then it became clear that their intent was not to honor or appreciate what you brought to the table. It was to take it. They wanted what you had without the work it took to earn it. They thought if they just mimicked the outward expression, they could achieve the same presence, the same authenticity. What they didn't realize is that the external appearance was never the source of your power. They could copy the surface, but they couldn't replicate the essence. As time went on, the cracks began to show. Imitation only works if the foundation is solid. You see, your presence wasn't built overnight, and it certainly wasn't built on borrowed pieces. It came from years of struggle, moments of self-doubt, and countless instances where you chose to persevere despite the odds. They didn't witness the sacrifices you made, the relationships you had to let go of, the nights you spent questioning whether you were even on the right path. They didn't walk through the fire that refined you. They wanted the glory without the story, and that's why their imitation fell flat. When you've been forged in the flames of true transformation, you carry a weight, a depth that can't be copied. They tried to take the finished product without enduring the process. And without the process, the product has no soul. It reminds me of the story of Simon the sorcerer in Acts 8 verses 18 to 20. Simon saw the apostles laying hands on people, imparting the Holy Spirit, and he wanted that same power. He even offered money to buy it. But Peter rebuked him, saying, "May your silver perish with you, because you thought you could obtain the gift of God with money." The point is clear: true spiritual power, true authenticity, cannot be purchased, faked, or replicated. It is given, earned through faith, shaped through trials, and sustained by grace. Those who attempt to shortcut the process end up empty-handed. And just like Simon, those who try to clone the Spirit without walking the path end up exposed. Their imitation fails because it lacks the substance that can only come from genuine experience. And then came the moment when you began to see the difference. It wasn't something you had to search for, it was obvious. While they scrambled to keep up appearances, you simply continued being who you were. Their words sounded hollow next to yours. Their actions, once designed to mimic your own, now seemed forced. People who once gravitated toward their version of you began to notice something was missing. They started to see through the performance. And as that shift happened, your authenticity only grew stronger. You didn't need to prove them wrong. The truth spoke for itself. Your light wasn't dimmed by their attempts to copy it. Instead, it shone even brighter, casting their shadow even more starkly. Their imitation didn't diminish you. It only magnified your uniqueness. And now, as you look back, you realize the gift in all of this. Their attempts to imitate you forced you to reflect on who you truly are. It pushed you to dig deeper into what makes you different, what makes you irreplaceable. You learned that your value isn't tied to what others see or try to replicate. It's rooted in your journey, your growth, your willingness to walk the hard road that others avoid. You've discovered that authenticity isn't something you can wear like a mask. It's something you embody. It's the way you show up even when it's uncomfortable. It's the resilience you've developed through every setback, every loss, every challenge. That's why they can't clone your spirit. It's not something you put on. It's who you are. But it goes deeper than that. You've come to see that their imitation wasn't just about wanting to be like you. It was about avoiding their own path. They thought that by taking pieces of your light, they could avoid doing the hard work of finding their own. But you know now that every person has their own unique fire, their own divine spark. They can't access it by copying someone else. They have to turn inward, face their own shadows, and find their own light. You understand this because it's the path you've walked. And while they may have failed to clone your spirit, you hope that someday they'll find the courage to discover their own. Until then, you'll keep walking in your truth, knowing that what's real can never be faked. Comment, "My light can't be cloned," if this resonates with you. This is your reminder that you don't need to fight against imitation. Just keep being yourself. The light you carry is unique. It comes from your experiences, your growth, your connection to something greater. And no one can take that away. Keep shining. At this very moment, you might be feeling a mix of anticipation and doubt, wondering if this is really your time, if you're truly ready. Let me assure you, you are not alone in this feeling. The truth is, countless people have stood where you stand now, on the edge of something vast and life-altering. You might be questioning whether you have what it takes, if the experiences you've endured have prepared you for the journey ahead. But let me tell you this, you are exactly where you are meant to be, and this is not just a coincidence. Everything you've been through has brought you to this point for a reason. The challenges, the setbacks, even the quiet moments of reflection, they've all served to prepare you for this season of expansion. You've been carrying this light within you all along, and now it's ready to shine. It hasn't been an easy road, though. There have been times when you felt like giving up, when the weight of the world seemed too much to bear. You've faced rejection, doubt from others, and perhaps even doubt from within. Maybe you've questioned whether you're strong enough, wise enough, or deserving enough to step into your purpose. They tried to bury you, but you became the seed. This isn't just a comeback, it's divine judgment. Watch until the end. Your story is the prophecy they feared most. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And remember, the divine verdict has already been delivered. Now it's your time to shine.